Hi, I'm Parker Miley.
And I'm Tim Benjamin.
And this is the Rage Podcast, where today Tim is going to start us out and sharing what he has to say.
Well, you know, the big news of the day is, and I'm sure your YouTube news feed not only jumping up there with the rage, but probably heard Governor Cuomo is resigning today. And what Parker and I like to do is not only kind of give you a timeline of what happened here, but our reflections on it. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So Cuomo has been really rode the roller coaster since the beginning of COVID. I mean, if you've been following the news, he went from, you know, the scoundrel that everybody hated to, you know, America's governor, to writing a book about leadership, to, and that was just what, 6 months ago or less.
Yeah.
And today he's resigning, and so we would like to kind of run this for you, okay? So when COVID started, started is the wrong word, but when we started to become aware of COVID, the government in New York responded to COVID officially on March the 7th, 2020. That's when a state of emergency was declared in the state of New York. At that time, there were 89 cases in the state of New York. Now, obviously, 89 cases is not a big deal, but they knew it was going to spread. Mm-hmm. So that we understand what was going on there. So, but very early on in the pandemic, one of the questions is, okay, a lot of these people with COVID are getting sick, but they're not exactly like life-threatening sick. Some are, but most aren't. So we got somebody now who's COVID positive. They're relatively healthy. What do we do with them? Became a question early on. We're treating them for COVID. You know, under normal circumstances, we wouldn't necessarily have to have them in the hospital. They aren't in ICU. We need the space. What do we do with them? So in order to create space for more serious COVID cases, we had to answer the question of what to do with stable COVID cases. Now, you know, if people like Parker and I were sick, they could send us home. But what about if somebody was in a nursing home? And that's where the question came. So in order to create space, because obviously the older population was far more susceptible and COVID was far more dangerous to them than to anybody, and that's still true today, they needed to figure out what to do with all these people in the hospital. So there was an executive order that was signed into law in New York on March the 25th, 2020. The executive order went out that nursing homes were required, mandated, to accept back COVID positive people who did not need to be in a hospital. So they still were testing positive for COVID. You know, they still had the virus, but they weren't sick enough really to be in the hospital. So they wanted to know what to do with them, and so Cuomo said, you know, put them back in the nursing home, and that was done by executive order. Nursing homes could not deny them. They couldn't say, we couldn't keep you out. So they were putting people back. That went on for a couple of weeks. On April the 9th, 2020, a place called Brooklyn Cobbles Hill Health Center began to realize that a bunch of people were now testing positive for COVID. So what they said is, we wanted to find a facility to put COVID positive people to protect everybody else. That request was denied. You still have to take them. Doesn't matter. So that was April the 9th. Almost a month of the day later, on May the 10th, 2020, the executive order was rescinded, and we were no longer sending COVID positive people back into nursing homes. That executive order was in effect for 47 days. Now, I found a little disparaging numbers when I did some research on this, is how many folks in nursing homes passed away. And the reason I found disparaging numbers is early on it was this number, and all of a sudden later it was this number. So I'm not going to say either number here because I don't know which one is accurate. But what I am saying is the more they looked into this, the more that they found. And you all have heard the accusations that some of the numbers were underrepresented, significantly so. So that's a scandal, because the governor said put them back in the nursing homes, and there's at least enough evidence to explore the possibility that executive order led to the death of many folks in the nursing home. Okay, so that's where we are. So there's been controversy about that since you know, about a year ago. The fight's been going on, and what are we going to do about that, and all these things that happened. And you'd think with this intro that we would tell you that Governor Cuomo's resignation was in light of this investigation. However, if you haven't been living under a rock for the last 24 hours, you know that's not what it was about. Parker and I watched a good chunk of the press conference that Governor Cuomo had, and this was never even mentioned. It was never even came up.
Nowhere.
You know this investigation, and part of the reason is because it never was an investigation. They didn't feel the need to look into it for whatever reason. So again, Parker and I are not here today to comment on that. The part that really offends me about this, though, is this happened. Again, I'm not saying it was Cuomo's fault. I don't know. But it seems like something we probably should have looked into. We didn't. And today, Cuomo went from America's governor to writing a book to now resigning just a few months later over the accusation of some indecent behavior.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, apparently he was failing to keep his hands to himself. Okay, let me say right up front before we jump into this. Killing people, old folks in a nursing home is bad. Should never be done. Is immoral, illegal, and awful and terrible. Never do it. Not being able to keep your hands to yourself, also bad. Do not ever do that. People who do that should be prosecuted and all that stuff. People need to keep their hands to themselves. But if I had to pick which one of those two that I thought was worse.
Exactly. So I like exactly what you need to say here.
Yeah.
So there's one thing where we're taking away of life, literally.
Yes, literally.
We know we've lived through COVID and we have a basic knowledge that it's alarming to the older generation.
Yes.
The man literally allowed COVID patients.
Required
COVID patients to go back into the nursing homes, and we all know nursing homes has a pretty large population of older people who have weakened immune systems and are already in bad health.
Everybody there's compromised some way. Yes.
So now, again, he might not have actively been putting a knife to someone's back, but he truly was killing.
It's certainly something that should have been looked into. Okay, it's certainly there's a question there.
Nothing to be praised about by any means.
Correct. Yeah. And yet, we decided not even to do anything with that. Yet, then we have President Biden calling for Cuomo to resign over not being able to keep his hands to himself. And
just how ironic. How ironic is that?
Yeah, I don't even know what else to say about that. That's not even
where we were supposed to go. But President Biden is now asking one of his governors to resign for not being able to keep his hands to himself.
So Biden almost had to fight with Cuomo for the Democratic nomination, and now Biden's like, well, he's got frisky hands and he needs to go. What a fall from grace, but almost for the wrong reason. I mean, again, I'm not saying he should have been kicked out over any of this stuff, because let's be honest, there's been no trial, so there's all allegations at this point. But how can we overlook all these thousands of dead people for a dozen women? And again, it's all bad. All of it should have gotten him removed from office, but how do we overlook the first one to get to the second one?
The whole stats that Tim read to you at the very beginning and everything, that is, you won't find that on news. If you go and you at the end of watching this and you go onto your nightly news, I assume they will be covering Governor Cuomo resigning. Okay?
Oh yes,
and you will not hear a single thing about this anywhere. It's only about these 11 women who have these allegations, who he will say they are true allegations.
Yeah, so he didn't deny them. Good on him.
Didn't deny nothing. In fact, he actually pulled in more women than the 11 that he already has allegations about.
Yeah.
So he's done that. But let's take it in from. We have to break this down as a member. I hate using the term "we live in a society," but we live in a society, and it's important to understand where are our values, where is our morals and our laws, and the way we think about everything.
Yeah, and where's the outrage over the nursing home scandal and the fact that was never talked about? I almost feel like, and again, I'm just pulling something out of the air here, but I feel like what's going on here is one side of the political aisle, who shall go unnamed, has decided, well, we can't really get Cuomo on the COVID thing because that gives credit to people we don't want to give credit to. Okay, I'm treading lightly here. It's giving credit to people I don't want to give credit to. On the other hand, though, he does need to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have to get him on something, and I really feel like, given the sympathies of the world right now, and again, I'm not saying that's even wrong, but they used an underhanded thing. They did the right thing for the wrong reason.
So exactly. It's all wrong. This whole situation is so you can't turn one way and see any good inside of it. Okay.
Right.
But let me share what I am seeing and from what our society has been telling us. Okay. So let's go back 50 or maybe even less years than that. Okay. Back in that time period, what men said. Even then, just back in. The not too distant past.
Yeah.
Whatever, if a man said anything like this and a woman made these allegations, nothing would have happened.
Yeah.
The man said it was wrong, so the woman doesn't. The woman say is off.
Yeah.
That was the society we once lived in. Now, does that make it okay in this situation that the only thing that gets Governor Cuomo targeted is these women?
Yeah. It was, what that culture was wrong then, it's wrong now.
So it was men, and now we're switching it over to women, but it shouldn't be that way at all. What we have to understand is, yes, both ways are wrong. Mm-hmm. We have to understand that if we only trust what a man says, but now if we only trust what a woman says, we both have to understand that there is wrong to that. And don't get me wrong, I know I'm telling you this all as a man, but I'm just saying we have to understand that that whole process is invalid and not appropriate in any sense.
And what this feels like, and I've heard this term back from my football playing days, is something will happen and the referee will blow a call. Okay? A couple plays later, referee makes another kind of bad call going the other direction. It's called a makeup call.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, but now is that any way, especially in a case as serious as this, is that any way to have a ruling on this?
Right, because no, it's not, because what we've done is we have invalidated all of those poor people who, through no fault of their own, were put in harm's way.
I'm all understanding that was a horrible thing, but what I can't get past is the fact that this will never stop happening.
Yeah.
That this will not be talked about only because of what society is stuck on. Man had say, now man has no say, and woman gets all. And we switch this whole way of thinking, and that's what we'll talk about. So women were the victims, and now the victims that were women are making more victims.
Yeah. Everybody's falling victim to something here. Yeah. Where does the power reside?
And that's right in the word. In the word victim is where all of the power resides in the society we live in right now. Mm-hmm. You tell a sob story, and you tell something, we've all been through trials, and I know some have been through terrible things, far worse than mine. But does that mean whatever that person or character says goes, no matter what, because they have this story? Or are we going to look at things justly and understand where's the root lie?
Yeah.
So now with having shared that, and that's what Governor Cuomo got stuck on. He got stuck on, he made victims, and now he's the victim.
Yeah. Well, and I think the part that bothers me about this is, again, all of this is alleged. Okay, there's been no trial, so it's all been alleged. But the thing that concerns me about that is the deaths of all those poor people in the nursing home didn't acquire enough victim points to get us there.
Exactly. There was 11 women is what Governor Cuomo, the allegations that have came true, and is the real reason why he got assigned is because of what he did to these 11 women. Okay? Now, I can assure you that with the stats Tim read us off today, more than 11 people died.
Far more than 11 people died.
So why is it that the allegations of those 11 outweigh what happened here?
Yes. We shouldn't have gotten to this point. He should have, at least an investigation should have been started long before this. And I think that says something about our culture that's bad, is that we have applied more victim points to these 11 women than we do to the thousands of people who died in the nursing home, to the point we didn't even investigate them. And there was
no question.
Yeah, there was no question. And here we got people, we got Cuomo of his own volition resigning because he knows, I think he knew, I'll get over the nursing home thing. I'll weather that storm. I won't get over this. Clearly, I mean, he resigned
because the society we live in right now. That's the pendulum has swung over to their side. So now this group has all the power. And it doesn't matter if you're Democratic, Republican, or anything else. This group now has the power in a certain situation. Which, if that's the society we're going to live in, where certain people just get max authority and power like that, to where if they say anything, it goes. And I know I have to keep referencing in history, it was like that too for men. But why can't we learn to evolve and understand and respect that there's always going to be a truth in somewhere? It's not what one person says goes.
There should have been an investigation of the nursing home scandal. There should be an investigation of the accusations against Cuomo. There should, all these things should happen. I'm curious now if there will be an investigation now that he's resigned. It's going to be interesting to see if they'll even go through with it.
And then what will really make me upset is we will have marches for those 11 women, yet the only people who will remember the nursing home victims are the families who have to now live.
How sad is that?
Yeah. There will be no memorial for these people. There will be nothing. There will be no march. The only people who will care about what Governor Cuomo did to those people are the families of them.
Yep.
But now these 11 women who I think are unnamed, I don't think we know them, will now be given the most praise in probably America for the next couple of days.
At least the next couple of days, not longer. So there you go, guys. I'm not sure where that ended us up, but
I think we just threw out information upon what we think and how we are.
It's our reflection on the news story of the day.
Take it how you want it.
Yep.
But
so let's. I guess here's the takeaway. Let's all be very careful about making decisions through assigned victim points, because yes, are there victims out there that need advocacy? Absolutely, but the fact that we allow these 11 women to outdo thousands of poor elderly people. I feel like I say this at the end of every rage, but it's so important. Do your own research. Yeah. If you were to never watch this podcast, this video, and you were to go home and watch the news tonight, you would have probably forgotten all about this whole nursing home thing, because again, all the power is held in those 11 women right now. In this case, and then all of media pretty much right now. Yep.
And this will just be forgotten.
Yep. So I guess the last thing we'll say is I think that Cuomo resigning was the right thing to do. I think either scandal should have been enough to get us there. But the fact that he knew he could weather one and he knew he was not going to get away from the other, I think that's a problem. So, anything more you got about that?
Do your own digging, I guess.
Yeah, do your own digging. And go find something happy to watch on the internet. Don't watch any more of this.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube, I don't know, elephant in a baby pool swimming around.
There you
something
go.
fun.
Yeah, something fun.
Please, because I mean,
don't get stuck on this.
Do not go. I should have told you all. Actually, don't go watch the news. We already did enough coverage for you.
That's right.
It'll only get worse on there.
Yeah.
Go watch something fun on YouTube. Go take a walk.
Okay.
No, don't take a walk. It's too hot outside.
Yes, it's too hot outside. Yes. So enjoy your. Enjoy watching somebody fall off of something, because that's what I always end up watching on the internet. Yeah.
Don't stew in the negativity in the world.
They ain't worth it. You guys have a great night.